I'm gonna test it again. What? I wanted to like when it starts, you can just hear me go, what?
Mhm.
When
Oh, it like
when I
didn't mute it, and I thought I did, so I just heard you like in
what?
stereo going, what? It's crazy.
um
It keeps
a
doing
friend of
that.
mine had
Twitch is going crazy. It keeps on like talking to me. Sorry. I
oh,
think
did
it's
you mute it?
disappeared now. I hope it's disappeared forever.
Do you still have a way to see the chat?
Yes, I do.
Okay,
It's all
but you
good.
got
All
rid
right.
of the okay.
I got rid
So
of
I
the
was saying
double
this.
Moe thing.
One of the things that happened was a friend from out of country came, and I won't say who they were with or whatever, but that's one of the first thing they notice is like the what. So they would just go
What?
what all the time, but in like a English accent, trying to do it in an American accent, trying to go what.
Yeah, right. And this is like the Moism that I've definitely somehow
Yep.
adopted,
I know it's
and
funny. Yeah, to hear it
the
on Board
podcast.
Game Pod. Just when you start off like what, you don't like
And
go hardcore, but
no, this is a little one, just a little what.
little what.
And have you adapted any Sarah-isms?
What is the one that we spoke about that was extremely you with the it was
Oh, that's
about
right. Is
that is
isn't it? Oh,
that
that
is
is, yeah.
yeah I've
The
been on
sentence.
accident I've been saying that is and I'm like wait a minute that's not the way
Oh,
we
I got
talk.
to say something about on accident, right? So in
Okay.
Australia, we do not like that because we say by accident, and we're like always picking on Americans because they say on accident. And then the other day, someone like some American person was just like, "Do you say on purpose or by purpose?" And I was like blown away, and I
Oh,
was like, "Oh
nice,
my god,
nice
questioning everything."
Americans,
Yeah,
bam,
and I'm
in your
like,
face, Australia. That's
yeah.
a American boom.
So that means we have to say by purpose and
No,
by
that means you
accident.
need to say on purpose. I mean,
No, you're
on.
gonna say by accident and by purpose. You know what's so trippy when I watch this back, it really does make me sound slow because when I'm talking with you, I respond quickly, and in the thing, there's a delay.
There's a slight
It
delay.
makes me seem really slow. Like
Uh,
Sarah's not really very switched on, is she?
no, you sound smarter because you actually wait to form an idea instead of
Hmm.
me, who just spits shit out his mouth like diarrhea. Yes.
So when the delay is happening, I should just always look like I'm thinking, like I'm pondering
Yeah,
something then. Okay, between words.
definitely.
All right, I'll work
I
on
was
that.
gonna say.
Also,
Go ahead.
Board Game BBQ podcast. Just because we were talking about that, I told you that you got dissed today in the episode that comes out today, and
Yeah.
I think we should address
Okay,
this
address it.
before
Go
it
ahead.
becomes
Okay, before
an
you
issue.
address it,
Okay.
it has something to do with what you're gonna address. We got to do my stuff first, always. When you
Okay.
were talking, no, I'll just lose my stream of consciousness on this thing.
All right.
They have the same problem with barbecue. Okay, so do you like? Uh, it is common for Hispanic people or Mexicans and Hispanic people in Texas to say "make a barbecue."
Okay.
Like you're not making a barbecue. You are barbecuing, you're grilling, but you're
Right.
not making a
You're not
barbecue. So
making. Right.
like if you're making a barbecue, that means you're building a grill and doing like digging
Yeah.
a pit and putting,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
another one that people have problems with that
I
making a
think that
barbecue.
making a barbecue, but you know what? I think I accept that the way you do it because you're doing the whole coals and everything. You're doing something. You're making it. You're making that barbecue when you're doing that.
I guess it
It's
depends
not
on
like you're just flicking a switch. You're not just
how you
going.
define barbecue. Is the barbecue the actual placing of the charcoal briquettes, or is making a barbecue actually building a structure to cook on?
No, that's
And
what
then
I'm
we
saying. Like I think that yours is at least you're still building the fire part of it,
mm,
and the
so
fire is the barbecue because it's
mm.
barbecuing the meat.
So at what point do we
So
start removing pieces of the grill before it becomes only a fire instead of a barbecue was the question.
was that really the question?
No, I was just making a comment about making a barbecue. Anyway, so go ahead about talk about how you diss me. What you say, bro?
Because you
Come
say
at me.
silly things like making barbecue. No, it was because yeah, it was exactly what you just did to me. Then you just want to go first all the time, and you're selfish, and you want to play the games that you want to play,
Hmm.
and I'm trying to play Carnegie with you, and I've been trying to play Carnegie with you for a long time, and you just refuse because we have to do the things you want to do.
I've
And
made
on the
several
podcast, I was
offers.
like, so everyone has a friend like this. Everyone has a friend that they can't get to play games because they always bring, like, you might try and get that loophole where you're like, I will invite them to my house. I'll invite the people to my house. That means that I'm going to play my games that I want to play off my shelf of shame.
Hmm.
And then, if you are that person, then you are the person that ruins that whole plan because you're like, nah, I don't want to play any of your games. I brought my own. And
Yeah,
speaking of which, when Mo did come here, I'm like talking to whoever's listening, but he did bring a lot of games with him and we played those.
I didn't bring any of the games back though. I left them. There were your games after that.
Yeah, which is nice. Does that mean you will never want to play them again?
No, that means I'm gonna go pick them up. That means
It
I'm
means
bringing
you've
them back now.
installed, you haven't given me gifts of games. You've installed your games here so that
Yeah, I can
you
go there and play
can
them.
you can play them.
Yeah, and then when I
But
want them
only
back, I'll just artificially get mad and say I'm getting my games and leaving.
then.
I'll do it on purpose. No,
Yeah.
I don't see it that way because I did bring up, hey, do you want to play Carnegie? And then you're always like, I don't know. You have this unsure feeling about me liking Carnegie.
That's
And the
not
games that
true.
I show you, I know that you'll like them. I know that you'll like them. No,
So you
absolutely
think
no.
so it's a matter of conviction. I just have not had enough conviction. I need to be like, you're gonna like it. You're gonna
No,
play this and
okay.
you're gonna like it.
Okay, so here's the mistake. If we were
Okay.
in a car and you said, where would you like to eat? I have one chance to speak up. If I say I don't know, that is my chance. Now, if I don't get the chance again to speak, I fucked up. I should have said something. So when
Yeah.
I say, "Hey, do you want to play Carnegie?" and you go, "I don't know," well then, boom, it's done.
Yeah.
I gave you your complimentary chance to play your game, so now give it back on me. I'm not gonna fuck up and give you. I'm not gonna serve it back to you. We're not playing tennis.
I'm too used to that whole I'm too used to rejection. I usually suggest
Oh,
something. Yeah. I'm too used to also like the way of the board game barbecue things. Like when we're doing game days, we want to make sure everyone's playing something they want to play. So I'm too much of a people pleaser. I need to stop doing that is what you're saying to me. And I need to just go, yep, this one.
this is why I instituted the dice rule. When we go and we have problems like this, I just
Mm.
say if you have a problem with like or you don't really want to insert your game or feel like you're taking over the group or whatever, everybody rolls,
Mm.
and if whoever like everybody rolls, and we'll just take turns on who rolls first the next time. But we don't dual roll. You have to beat somebody's roll. So like if I roll six and then you go and you roll six, I rolled first. I rolled six. You had to beat me. You didn't beat me. So my game gets played first, and then your game gets played second. Hopefully, we'll have time to play your game. And if we don't, well, then you can choose to go first next time. And no choice, no nothing. You have to play what I bring. Go ahead.
Do you like how that example had you rolling the dice first?
Of course,
Everyone had to beat
it's my
you.
fantasy.
You rolled a six. You're bringing your game.
That's right.
You just
It's all me.
automatically, it's all.
I am. It's your job to defend yourself. It's my job to defend myself.
Fair enough.
I live in the Mo world,
Yeah.
and whenever I talk to you, it's Sarah entering Mo's world. As it
It
should be for
sounds
you. It should be
so
like
bad.
it
You
should be
sound like the
Sarah's
most.
world, and then whenever I enter your world, it's Sarah's entering Mo's world.
That doesn't make any sense because then when we're talking to each other, we're just what? Yelling out across like from our worlds.
Yeah,
I'm fine over here, thank you.
it's like that Venn diagram where they meet in the middle. It's just probably in my favor.
Well, I'm glad you admit that.
Mm.
But I am going to make you play Carnegie because now I've sworn an oath to play it. So
Yeah, I'm down. I'm down to play it. I've been wanting to play it. The only apprehension is whenever you said that you don't know if I'll like it, or you
yeah,
don't
but
think
now I
I'll
don't
like
care
it as
about that.
much.
I don't care
Good,
about that anymore.
good. Well, I want to play it, and that way I
Maybe
can say,
you do.
I can tell Lyndon whether he hadn't opened his copy, so
Hmm.
or he might have opened his copy, but it'd be a good excuse to play it or whatever.
It was one of the many, many games that were brought to Cloudcroft that just sat on the
Yeah,
floor the whole time.
that's right.
There were way too many games, way too many snacks.
I wouldn't say there's too many snacks.
There would
There's too many
always
games
be.
for sure. For sure.
Way too many snacks. I think we made like three. Oh, okay, we've already talked about this, but I seriously think that we like all went to get snacks every day, like at least three
Of
times,
course. Yeah,
three
it's
waves.
America. It's always that's a mandatory. If you're here, you must go get snacks. And if you come to somebody's house, you don't bring wine, you bring snacks
Yeah,
and
snacks,
wine.
snacks, snacks.
Always.
Yeah,
When we're talking like that world thing, I was
yeah,
listening to this really interesting thing, and it's slightly adjacent to board games. They were talking about the pilgrims, and
mm.
they said whenever like okay, so the Americans and their fascination with the pilgrims, and I don't know if you know this origin story of America, but it has to do with they tell us the pilgrims came on the Mayflower and they were leaving religious persecution, and they made a little town, and I don't know, we've got all this crap that goes with that, right?
yeah. This
Well,
is the
this
whole
his
Thanksgiving thing and
yeah,
all
yeah,
this.
yeah.
Right.
It eventually gets to Thanksgiving,
Yeah.
but um, I was listening to this historian teacher, and he was talking about one way to look at the pilgrims is not to look forward back. In other words, we're not looking from our time backward
Mm.
and removing modern conveniences and saying they're like us minus electricity and all these good things.
Yeah.
The way to look at them is to look at the very distant past and move forward. Like look to the Dark Ages or look
Yeah.
to medieval Europe and move forward, and that's who they were. Like
Yeah.
they have that's it's better to frame them that way because then you have a better understanding for who they were. And see, in board games, when we start playing and we start looking at historical figures, we always look at the modern world backwards. Like it's our world, it's just framed in this other way, but it really is interesting to look at it the other way.
But it's okay for someone who's a historian to say that. But the average person doesn't know what it was like for a person in the medieval times, really.
Well,
So
we know it was
it's
bad.
hard to do. Okay, yeah, we know it was bad, but it's really hard to even do that. It's like it's fine to say, "Oh yeah, you should look at it like this," and it's like that's great, but that's not at all practical for my brain. I do not know exactly what it was like for someone back then, and like I mean, we're hopeless at we are just absolutely hopeless at this. We can't even do it. We struggle to even connect with our kids in a lot of ways because they look at us like, "What? You didn't have the internet?" Like they can't even do that, and that wasn't even that long ago. And like
I
they can't
still
even
miss
imagine that,
AOL.
let
I
alone.
still have an AOL fucking chat account.
Do you really?
No,
That doesn't exist anymore.
no.
What? Okay.
You can still
Um,
have AOL emails. Did you know that?
can you?
Email,
Yeah,
yeah,
I can do that.
AOL email accounts. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah. No, I was just going to say that. Like, it's not possible to do.
It's not, but I think
You've
it's
got to take
shorthand.
what you know and take away from that. You can't.
I think it's just shorthand to say that they're more old school than you give them credit for. Like
Yeah.
they're closer to the Pilgrims were a lot closer to Henry VIII than they'll ever be to our modern era. Or like when you look past, like the opposite is to look at Cleopatra. Cleopatra is closer to the modern world than she is to when the time of the pyramids were created. So like it just kind of frames it to where you know that she's a little bit closer to our time period than we give her credit for, kind of.
Right.
And the Pilgrims are a lot older than we give them credit for. But I
Hmm.
agree with you. I have no idea how shitty it would be. I know it was extra shitty, extra shitty, especially for me.
This is why, like, history. I think this is one of the reasons why a lot of people don't like history, don't connect with history, don't like history in school. It's just a whole bunch of facts that don't make a whole lot of contextual sense. And really, it's just like, here's a timeline. This person did this and the. And that's why I love Dan Carlin
Oh
because
yeah, yeah,
he
definitely.
always addresses that. He's always like, this is what was happening at the time elsewhere. This is what the people were actually like. This is why these things might have happened. And actually gives you like the context instead of saying in history, this, and this happened, which is just a terrible way to do history. But that is how we're taught in school. Well, at least the way I was.
Yeah, I think generally it's it's history is told by the winners, and history is just dates and great men of history idea. That thing that even Dan
Mm,
Carlin talks about, the great men of history theory,
mm,
which is all about like we want to point to a person and a time, and
mm.
and just remember that and then go forward.
Yeah.
There's a lot of background that goes behind that. That like I like watching the documentaries where they show like the common man, and in fact, that's where Matchstick Girls is one of those common man shows, where they were showing Victorian England, and they just showed the shitty jobs that existed in Victorian England, and Matchstick Girls just happened to be one of them. Like working
Yeah.
at a matchstick factory sucked, and this is why.
Yeah. I wonder how many jobs at that time were like going to kill you. Because they was like, what, chimney sweep, that's going to kill you. Matchstick girl, that's going to kill you. Uh, you know, name a job that wasn't going to kill you.
Prostitute, that's gonna kill you.
That's going to
You
kill
know,
you. You're going to get murdered.
yeah, you're gonna
100%.
get murdered or syphilis or whatever.
Yeah.
And just
Cleaning.
drinking water, cholera, because you're
Yeah.
drinking basically right next to a cesspool. Like
Yeah.
their well is like right next to the cesspool, so that's
Or
like
you're
fucking
just
disgusting.
doing any job and then you're walking down and someone throws their chamber pot out the window
Ugh, gross.
at you.
So okay, so that brings me to the outdoor uh, bathroom facilities in India.
Mhm.
Like I've only seen pictures where they show like an apartment, and then they
Mhm.
show like a trench that goes in front of the apartment, but like in between the apartment and like the sidewalk and like a trench, and it's just like the poo trench.
Very strange. Right. What
So
about it?
tell me
What's
how
wrong with
wrong
that?
I am.
I don't remember seeing that when I was in India, but I saw a lot of different places to go to the toilet. I remember once I paid, I think I paid like some, tiny amount of rupees, not much, to go to the toilet. And I thought it was going to be like a proper toilet. And it was just like a half wall thing, which was really funny. Like it wasn't like the most horrible toilet. There was a hole in the ground at least, but it was a half wall.
Hmm.
Yeah. And it was outside. So
Wait a
your
minute,
your stuff is covered, but your
your
head
body's
is
sticking
not.
out.
Your head is sticking out. So if you
So
look,
like, are
they
we?
would look at you and make eye contact and just be like, "Hi, what are you doing there?"
So are we talking
So-
like this is what are they? Uh, Drone City, where they're just like flying drones and watching you. And shit.
yeah, it was so weird. It was not what I expected at all. I was like, "Here's the money," and I like walked through a doorway and I like had the paper. Like, "Here's your paper." Walk through the doorway. It's just over there, and then I'm walk into this thing, but it's like a half wall, and I'm like, "This is
Oh man,
weird." And there were a lot of smells. A lot of people just wee like wherever. They don't worry about
right.
toilet for that. Um, and also poo in the water, like waterways,
Hmm.
because it's water. It's fine, right? That's where
Yeah,
it's going anyway. Um, yes, there were a lot of interesting smells in India, like good ones and bad ones. There was quite a spectrum.
I bet.
Yeah, but I didn't see the poo trench.
Oh,
So
okay.
this is like
Well,
for apartment buildings, right? Where they have to have
yeah,
lots.
this would be like in a smaller town where they don't have a lot of places that have like running water and whatnot. So they had these trench things, which I thought
Yeah.
was
They
interesting
were
because
what, on a slant? And they were
yeah,
heading towards, yeah.
yeah.
Well, I mean, to be honest, I think the reason why I didn't see any of these things is because if they existed, I would have like caught a bit of the smell and I would have been like, let's not go down that way. Because a couple of
Oh,
times they did do that.
let's
I'm
not go that
exploring like the
direction.
town and I'm like, doesn't smell great down there. Let's go this way instead.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Just in case.
I've always wanted to ask you, but I just thought of it now to ask you
Yeah.
online, so to hear the poo
The weird
stories.
toilet things. Yeah. We always have a
So
weird toilet story. I talked about the Singapore one where I got freaked out and wanted to get back on the plane. Obviously, that happened before the India thing, because once the India thing happens and you go to like the half wall toilet, then you're just going
right,
to go anywhere, really.
right. I watched this documentary once, and it was about diseases, and it was I think it was they talked a lot about cholera, and then they talked about India and the underdeveloped areas of India,
Mm.
and they just showed like at that time, and that would have probably been like 10 years ago, maybe that it's not uncommon for like a villager just to like defecate as he walks or whatever. You know,
Mm.
it's like in the field or whatever. It's just like it's different. It's a different culture,
Yeah.
and
Well,
uh,
because if you don't have a proper sewage system, then what is the point of
right, right,
yeah, how would that have even developed really if you don't
right.
have proper toilets? Then of course you can just go anywhere because there are no toilets. It's not weird, I guess.
Mm. Yeah.
And the cows definitely do that as well. They just
Oh
go
yeah.
wherever. They just go wherever they want.
Everywhere
It's
in all
just
societies.
that's true, but you don't often have because they've got the sacred cow thing,
Yeah.
the Brahma cow. The cows are literally everywhere, and they're just walking around where people are walking around, and they're pooping as they're
And
walking.
because they have the whole sacred cow thing, does anybody like own the cow? Or cows are not allowed even to be owned because they're sacred?
That's a good question. I'm pretty sure they own them,
Mm.
but I don't. That's a good question. I'm actually not sure. I know people sometimes own buffalo because they have buffalo milk and
Yeah.
stuff. That's a really good question. I don't need to find that out.
Because
Yeah.
there's this thing where like they have like the sacred monkeys and stuff, and they're not allowed to like hurt them or touch them or anything. And the monkeys kind of like run, like I think it was a monastery or something.
Yeah.
I remember where that was at. I was thinking it was India, but it could be somewhere else.
Mm.
In a sort of similar situation. But anyway, I guess we should talk about games a little bit so that we can
Sure.
justify that this was put on the board game group because it's only supposed to be board game related stuff.
Of course it is.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I've been playing one game
Yeah, tell
pretty
us about it.
obsessively, you know
Or
that.
unless you want to keep that for the board game barbecue audience because I can bring up other game stuff if we need to.
Yeah, well, I mean, we're both obsessed with one particular game, so it's hard to talk about other games. There must be
Oh,
something
well
though. What else
then
have you,
go right
what else
ahead.
have you been playing? I don't know. I can't. I have to talk about Frosthaven. Well, we talked about this last time because you were like, "Why did you buy it?" and all this, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I guess it's cool to at least finish off by saying, or at least bring it up again and say that I am really enjoying it, and I don't care who knows it. I'm not ashamed of it. It's so
No, it
good.
sound I want to play it. You make me want to play it. You guys make
Really?
me want to play it. Yeah, I really want to play it.
Oh, cool.
And I wouldn't mind just joining a campaign from where you're at, but you
Yeah.
gotta come off of that character, bro.
No
I
way.
need
I'm
that
not.
character.
No,
I
I'm the
need that
Death Walker.
character.
Nope.
I need that character.
Mm.
Then I guess I'm not playing. Okay, move on.
Oh, come on. Just be something else. There's other cool characters.
I
There's
know.
one,
Play one of
you should
those
be
other
the one
ones.
that, no, you should be the one that like comes, flickers in and out and stabs people in the back and stuff.
Is that
That
the
seems
other
like
character
something
you
you'd
kind of
do.
want to be? I don't stab people in the back. Stab them in the
It's
front.
like an assassin. An assassin.
Hmm.
I don't know. There's a lot of cool characters in this one. And we might unlock, by the time you're here, we might unlock something that's
That
even
extra
better
cool.
than the one I have. I actually think that I'm going to retire my character pretty soon because
Really?
I'm over halfway through my quest already. I have to
Hmm.
kill a certain amount of these particular bad guys, and I've pretty much already done it.
Hmm.
So I've only got like two, but the enemies I have left, I might not see for a long time. So it's really hard to even judge that. But yeah. Anyway, but like, what's fun is the building up the city and defending the city and stuff. I don't know if you ever played a game called it's a video game. It's called Pillars of Eternity.
Mm-mm. Never
Oh,
played
it's
it.
so good. It's like Baldur's Gate. I think I've spoken to you about this actually. It's like a
Yeah.
more intense Baldur's Gate where you actually get like your own. You somehow inherit your own like fort, I guess they call it, or whatever. And there's like a, you can build that up and you can add upgrades to it, but you also have to defend it. You have to leave people to defend it, and you have a party,
Mm-hmm.
and you also have to hear um, like grievances from people in the area and decide what you're going to do. So like between missions and stuff, so you're doing your dungeon crawly thing,
Mm-hmm.
or there's a story. It's kind of like Baldur's Gate. There's like this mystery. There's all this stuff happening, and you don't know what's happening. It's really cool. And then people actually come to you, and they have a grievance, and you have to decide what you're going to do with them. And there's also people that commit crimes, and they come to you, and you have to decide what you're going to do with them. It's really cool. Anyway, it sort of feels a little bit like that. You have the outpost, and you have to go there. There's a random event. You have to make a choice. You get to
Mm-hmm.
like upgrade buildings. You get to You have to defend the place if it gets attacked. You can
The
have
upgrade
soldiers
building
that help
sounds new.
you. Yeah, new buildings. You can upgrade the buildings that are there. You can try and rebuild the walls so it's better defended. Um, there's also like morale, which there wasn't in the first one. So there's actually like morale of that town because it keeps getting attacked. The morale's low at the start,
Hmm.
which means it's not the defenses are really low. But the more you try and like do good deeds and the morale goes up, then
Defense better.
defends better and stuff like that. So it's really cool. It's got a lot more going on, and it makes it more exciting because the between scenarios stuff in Gloomhaven wasn't a whole
Yeah, that
lot.
was
It was
kind of
more,
just upkeep.
yeah, it's just upkeep and maybe you level up,
Pick up.
maybe you don't. It seems to take ages to level up. We'll do a random event and it might be really boring, and so it's just like, okay, let's do another scenario. So this one's a lot more involved and it's
Hmm.
fun. You can craft items, so you get to use all the buildings that are there. And you start with like 2 or 3 buildings. I think you start with the barracks, so you can get soldiers. You start with a alchemist, so you can craft potions. You start with a um, craftsman's hut, so you can craft some items.
So that
And so
sounds
when you
so
loot,
much better.
yeah, and when you loot in this, instead of it just being like a coin token on the
Hmm.
board and it tells you how much that's worth, how much gold that's worth, the loot is like it could be metal, it could be some herbs, so you can like brew potions with the herbs, and it could be wood, or it could be money, or it could be some random item. And the potion table is kind of cool because it's all secret. You don't know what the alchemist is going to make, and you give him the 2 herbs, and then it's basically a little grid, and you go, okay, I gave him a mushroom, and I gave him this other thing, and then you like take off the whatever the sticker, and you can see underneath it's such
Oh
and
wow,
such potion that you. Yeah, it's really cool.
that's
And
cool.
then you know how to build. You know how to brew that. You know
No,
how to do
that's cool.
potions.
So now you have some potionomics.
Yeah, potionomics. The last game you're obsessed with that you're not anymore. That's totally forgotten about.
No, I've
That's
been
going to
thinking
happen to
about
me one day. You'll have a
your
new
game that
obsession person and you'll just toss me aside.
I'm still thinking about potionomics quite a bit.
Okay.
I'm just not playing it. I'm just busy playing something else.
Yeah.
It sounds cool. It sounds better. It sucks because it sounds a lot better than Gloomhaven.
Yeah. I mean, like the actual, dungeony stuff
Hmm.
is pretty much the same feel. It's still the same like card system and throwing away cards and really being careful that you don't throw away too many cards so you have enough for the scenario. And
Hmm.
the combat's very similar, but I think they've done a really good job of making characters that feel really different. Um,
That's cool.
so yeah, it's awesome. I'm a fan. You're not having my character.
I think the only thing that I've played really well. Okay, so we played. You remember that balancing game, the Viking one that you gave me?
Yeah, yeah,
The
yeah.
what's it called?
Viking
Seesaw,
Seesaw.
Viking Seesaw. Yeah. So we
Yeah.
played that to figure out who goes first.
Mm-hmm.
And like instead of using like Chawazi or whatever, we just played that to see who goes first
Yeah.
in the real game. So when we were playing that last time, fucking Brian was kicking my ass, but this time me on very little sleep, and a shit ton of energy drinks, I beat Brian with a
How
shaky
many
hand.
energy drinks did you have?
I'm not, no comment.
Oh
Let's
God.
move on. We don't need to know how many I had that day. Too many,
So you beat him, even though you were shaken from all that
even though I was shaking and shit.
caffeine.
Yeah, and then we played Craftsman, and we played Craftsman twice, but the first time
Oh,
we played it, not in the same day. So the weekend
oh,
before,
yeah.
we played Craftsman, and uh, whenever it takes 2 years to play a game, it's like I started all over, and every time I play a game for the first time, I'm going to lose. And of course, I lost. But
Okay, I'm just making a note of that we need to only play the same game every 2 years. Cool, got it.
every 2 years, because then I'm guaranteed to lose, and that's what happened. I lost.
I
And then
like
the
it.
very things that I learned from that first game, because I saw Brian do them, I didn't see him do them the second game. So I don't know if he just got lucky or forgot to do them or what the fuck was going on with Brian, but I kicked his ass the second time.
So maybe he just lost. You didn't win.
I don't care. The win is a win.
I can't think I'll take it.
I don't care if you lost because your car's getting towed and you walk out and you have to forfeit. I just fucking game this game. It's all relevant.
Oh,
Wins by all
But come
means
on, tell me
necessary.
about the game, and I don't know anything about it.
Oh, Craftsman is awesome. Okay, so Craftsman, you are in a town.
Yeah.
It's a resource chain. Like imagine Anno, but a
Mm-hmm.
very old school way of doing Anno. You
Okay.
where you've got to make you have a product chain. So let's say you want to make a book. You need to first learn how to make the paper. So you have like wood that gets turned into something that gets turned into something else. So you got to have these cards that are part of that chain, and you physically turn. You get like this little piece that you turn it from one card to the next card to the next card, and it all takes a build point, and you build these in-game finished products that you put on a boat, and that's how you make all your points.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to make buildings to make these things. And the shitty part of the game, there's two shitty parts. The first part is your build phase becomes before you buy the building phase. So you have to plan in a round, like the whole round before, what you're going to build in the next round. Because
Mm-hmm.
you buy the cards at the end of this round to build in the next round. Second
Mm-hmm.
part is imagine worker placement where you're just putting like three workers down. Like I put a worker, you put a worker, then I put a worker again.
Mm.
We stack the workers on top of those. They're not workers, they're discs. You can stack on top on those same spaces. And instead of firing off, first place, second place, and third place, we go from the bottom to the top of the stack. So you can jump ahead in order in
Yeah.
places. I don't know if that makes sense, but
From the
it's a
bottom to the top of the
yeah.
stack.
So imagine a circle spot that's one, a circle spot that's two, and a circle spot that's three. And I have to place in one first, and then someone can place in two, and then someone can place in three, right?
Mm.
Once those are filled, you can stack on top of those one level. So we
Right.
go back to the one
Okay.
space and someone can
Yeah.
stack on the top.
Yeah.
That person that's stacked on the top is second,
Mm-hmm.
not the person in the next spot.
In this next spot.
Right, because you're going from the bottom to the top.
Oh, sneaky. Yeah.
And the first spot has a privilege. It's got white privilege. So the first spot you decide what you want to do. Like if you want to take the privilege and it does a bonus to the action.
Nice.
So it's very sneaky. And it's
That's
very it
cool.
can yeah, the only thing it's an older game, so there's no catch up. You have to really screw up. So if you're ahead, just don't screw up and you're gonna win.
You'll be fine. Yeah.
Yeah, just don't screw up.
Okay. But Brian did screw up.
Yeah, by playing the first time because he beat me the first time and I saw what he did, and then the second time I didn't fuck up like that. But yeah,
That's cool. It
that's
sounds
Craftsman.
like it almost sounds like it's meant for four players though, because it's like one, two, three, and then you go on top. It's like first player,
Yeah,
fourth
it
player.
scales okay, but yeah, it plays better. Plays up to
Mm.
five. I've never played it with five.
Oh, five. That's interesting.
Three is really tight. Four is fucking long. It's like,
Mm.
have you ever played Through the Ages four player?
I have.
It's like that.
Someone had me
It's
though.
not
We didn't
that
finish
juice
it.
is not worth the squeeze. It's like that. It's very long. I mean, it's
Yeah.
fun if
You
you
also don't
have
want
to
to
have
play
people.
that with two. You got to play that with three, really.
Two's not bad though. It's not
Really?
bad. Yeah.
I'll play it with you. I'll play it with you.
Okay. All right.
Just
So
don't
that
attack me with the military. But you won't because you're a turtle.
that's no, I will in that game. You have to.
Oh, damn
That's the
it.
whole point of the game. You have to build. You have to. If you don't
Yeah.
do military, you will die. You cannot win if you don't at least go parity with military.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I've heard though that they've. This is the interesting thing. Since they made the app, they've
Mm.
got like thousands of plays now that they can reference, and they've rebalanced the cards and stuff.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so they have all these plays to balance it. And
Yeah.
so with the expansion, the expanded material, they also have some replacement cards that were maybe a little bit too powerful in the original game. So I would suggest everybody get the expansion. And I'm not an expansion person, but in this case, since there's that balancing aspect, if you really like the game, boom. Out of my friends, I'm one of the few people who don't put Through the Ages in my top 10.
Mm.
It's in my top 20,
Why?
but not in my top
Why?
10.
What holds it back for you?
It's just not my style of game.
Okay. Yeah, fair
Um,
enough.
it's
You're
good.
not a
It's
big
just,
civilization-y person, really.
nah. I like
Lyndon
it in
is.
theory.
Lyndon's
I
the
like
one that
4X,
flies all
but
the
not
time.
necessarily Civ.
Yeah, that's interesting. You like 4x, but you don't like the exterminate part. You like
No, no.
3x. You like 3 out
Uh,
of 4x's.
I like 4X. I just don't like it spanning such a long part of history. I prefer like a 4X. that has a very narrow window, or where you like, let's say if you're playing like, um, when you look at what's it got? Eclipse. Eclipse is
Yeah.
a 4x, right?
Yeah.
Or is it 3x? I
No,
forget
it's
what the
four.
argument is. Okay, so
Oh,
in Eclipse, even though it might span, let's say, a millennia, things don't really change technology wise, so it really just feels like you're playing in a very small gap of time. So, but when you're playing
I feel like
Civ,
it changes technology wise. What do you mean? Yeah, it does. Like by the end of the
I,
game, you got heaps of cool shit.
I don't know, it just feels like it doesn't change all that much. Like you're not going from the Iron Age to computers. Like for me, that
Yeah, it's
the
not.
way
Yeah, I guess
through
the
the
point
ages
of
feels
that
is a
is.
wider gap. So I don't like that wider gap. Maybe it's a
Okay,
theme thing. Maybe I'm dumb. I don't know.
yeah, fair enough.
Just not really big into the Civ thing. It's fine. I'd rather I don't mind 4X. I just don't want to play Civ that much. But I'll play it for sure. It's a good game.
Okay, fair enough. I just had to mute and then swear. No, I didn't really swear.
So
Um,
do you have that in your top 10? You don't, do you?
no, I don't. I haven't played it enough. I have the app and I like, you know, wanted to play the app and then I realized I don't play apps of board games.
Yeah, I have the same problem is that I have it on app, but I don't want to play it on phone. I wouldn't mind playing it on a iPad, but
Yeah,
I hadn't had an iPad in forever. Like I have an old one.
same.
There was a point where I just stopped. The phone got so big that I stopped using the iPad.
Yeah.
And the only
And
reason
then
to
did you
use the
go
iPad,
get a small phone again or
no, no, I still got the
no?
same huge Max iPhone Max thing. The biggest is
Okay.
Max Pro, the
Yeah.
biggest you can go. Like you, same phone, you same size as
No,
yours,
I
huge.
got the normal one. I got the little one.
Do
It's a
you?
little one. Yeah.
I thought yours
Mine's
was full
little.
size.
Mine's not the full size one.
We'll have to put our phones next to each other and see.
It's not the max one. I know
Okay.
which one you're talking
Okay.
about. I
Well,
didn't
mine
get
is
that
the
one.
Max.
Okay.
So anyway, so do you think it would be in your top 10? I mean, top 20?
No. I haven't
Really?
played it enough. I haven't played it enough. It might.
Mm,
It might have been if I'd
mm,
gone down that path. If I had someone to play it with.
mm.
But
Yeah, you'd have to play it quite often, shouldn't you?
yeah. And it's kind of one of those ones that like you want both players to kind of know the cards ish a little bit.
Yeah, yeah. Otherwise, it's completely unfair. You want some
Yeah.
parity.
Yeah, you want some parity, but also it's good. I imagine the game gets better when you kind of know what's going to be coming out, so you can
Oh
kind of
yeah,
plan a little bit. Yeah,
yeah.
I told you the thing with that though that I was like a despot for like millennia. People are sending shit to the moon, and I'm like, no, I'm still a despot. I'm just still doing raids on horseback, and
That's pretty
yeah,
funny.
no, my political what do you call it? The government, the form of
Yeah,
government was
still low.
still very low,
That's
which is
pretty
pretty
funny.
funny. And I don't know why, but it just for some reason your tequila game that you're designing reminds me of Through the Ages. I don't know why, it just gives me those vibes.
That's weird.
It is really weird. I think it's just the crunchy upkeep on your board and trying to figure out where all the calendar things are going to go and stuff.
Maybe,
I'm not sure.
maybe it's
I'm
just a
still
lot of
thinking
board
about it.
upkeep in weird ways.
Yeah. In cool and interesting ways.
We'll see. We'll see.
What else have we been playing? What else?
No.
Sure, there's something I haven't spoken about. Oh, you know what else I did want to talk to you about is when I
Okay.
played Pilgrim with Kerry, it almost sort of made me change my mind a little bit. And I saw that it can be not a great game, potentially.
What happened?
We didn't get any buildings, none that manipulate movement.
So it was like a fucking you're slogging through.
Slogging through, and it was a little bit too painful. So that whole thing of um, oh, it feels like a real pilgrimage because everything's so slow. This was like a snail's pace. And the there could have been some interesting buildings bought still that allowed us to do maybe some curly things, even though it would still be super slow and we get hardly anything done over the course of the game. Because you're going to get a lot less done over the course of the game if you
Hmm.
can't. We had to do so many turns where we just got resources because we had to move the pilgrims and we couldn't get to the. Anyway, so not only that, but the way the action discs were, or the action boards were, the the building one was the furthest away that it could possibly be.
Oh man.
Yeah. So we just went. It wasn't just not worth. It was just not worth the pilgrimage all the way to do that action to get a building that wasn't even for movement anyway, and it might
Hmm.
have done something a bit interesting, but it's whatever.
So
I think
like
there was one movement one, and it was just the one where at the end of your turn you can move back to the city if you want. Like, no, I don't want to go back to the city. Yeah, we
so
had like no one out on action boards. We were all in the city. We're just like trudging through this
when
thing.
was this play?
It was a while ago. I just forgot to
Oh.
tell you about it. I forgot to explain it to you. And Kerry was super excited to try the game because she was like, I watched a
Then she's
video,
like,
and
no.
she's like, this was really painful. Like, this was painfully tight and slow, and we couldn't do anything. And I'm like, yes, you're right. It was.
Hmm.
And I've played it before, and it wasn't this bad.
But you know I'm a
But you know what? I
masochist,
think it's
right?
my fault. Pardon?
I'm a master. I don't mind pain.
Yeah, I don't mind it either, but this was borderline. I could definitely see where she was coming from. If I hadn't played it before, I would have been like, I don't know what they
Hmm.
were trying to do here, but this is probably a little bit, there's all these things that you can do, and we couldn't do any of it. Um, and I think that I've learnt the lesson, and the lesson is she was a new player to the game, and I should have gone with the standard setup.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep. That's what it's there for.
yeah.
Yeah. See, I would have been fine with the hardcore. Like, there's another Spielworks game called Through the Sands of Time that most people don't like because it's painful. It's very painful to go through, but I don't mind it. I like it. It's difficult.
Maybe I can construct the setup that we had and you and I play it together. Because actually, I really did want to have that discussion at the end. I was like going full nerd, and I was like, no, but wait, let's look at the buildings we had and what could we have done to make this not so bad, and how would we have made this
Yeah, if you
like
took a
this?
picture of the game, maybe we can make it reconstruct
I
it and
can
try
make
it
it
out.
happen again. I can make it happen again for sure.
That'd be
And
cool.
I might not get all the buildings exactly right, but
As
I
long
know
as you
what
get
ones
close
weren't
to the
there.
pain. Yeah, that's the important part. So
Yeah,
if you can simulate the pain, we'll
yeah.
see.
And we can do
Because
it. We can play it, and we'll see how we do. And like, because I'm keeping my stats right, my BG stats, you can see how poorly Kerry and I did, and then you and I can at least see how much better we do. And I
yeah, it's
think
a
Kerry didn't
shame.
actually do too badly because in the end, she um, opted to just do the arms thing,
Hmm.
giving arms, and because I was trying to get something to happen, trying to get some roads and pilgrimage, and I couldn't pull it off. I didn't have enough turns.
Oh
So she
wow.
ended up getting like double my score or something.
Oh shit.
Yeah. So yeah. So that was painful. It was a painful game of Pilgrim. I was like, this
Yeah, I
hurt
wonder
me.
because you know that whenever I look at those, I usually approach like the third or fourth time when I play a game in a very odd way and come up
Mm,
with some things that are pretty strange. So if the game has some strange things, maybe I can see them. That
yeah.
maybe, but probably not. I don't. Pilgrim was pretty straightforward,
Mm.
and it was the buildings that did crazy shit. So if the right buildings weren't there, I could imagine it was a slog.
Yeah. It is the buildings that do crazy shit, but you definitely have to look at the placement. I will definitely pay more attention to the placement of where those boards are, the action boards, and prioritize that
And
as
aren't there
well.
more?
Like,
Are there more buildings with more players, or is
you
it the
told
same
me
amount of
no,
buildings?
and I looked in the rule book and it doesn't look like there are. So I
Okay,
think you're
so
right, which to me, that seems odd to me. I think with more players, there should be more buildings.
I
Surely.
don't know because you need to be able to like it's so tight. You'd probably want to do that thing where you like using other people's buildings and shit all
True.
the time.
Yeah,
That
that
might be
must
the
be.
whole point, but I don't know.
Yeah, I think you're probably
There was
right.
there was some interesting conversations we've had in the other Discord that I'm in. I don't know if I can talk about the other Discord or whatever. But anyway, so I was in another
What do
Discord
you
and
mean? It's some sort top secret Discord you can't
I don't
talk
think it's
about?
the Train Rush Discord, I guess. I don't know if it's top secret or not. I hope it's not top secret. Maybe the stuff we talk about might be top secret. But
Mhm.
we were talking, well, I'm not going to talk about who it was. We were talking about how you have some designers who go and they get on a Kickstarter and people buy their material based on how nice of a guy they are or how nice of a person they are versus
Yeah.
how good of a game it is. And I said that it's encouraging for a person to know that, that you can actually sell games based on your personality. But I don't know if there's any. Okay, so the thing is, like, okay, so when people play the game, they're not going to feel the same. They might feel ripped off, but not a lot of people play games at the same time. Like, you buy games and you shelve them, and then that's it.
Yeah.
I mean, it'll just enter the shelf of shame, especially if it's not like a mainstream thing that everybody's talking about. You
Right.
know, it's going to enter your shelf of shame, and that person may never have to reconcile with the level of design they did on that game. It might even be so that, like, in a few years, they're like, oh, I can't believe I released that. Who knows?
I can't believe I released that.
But my argument was like, I think it's really cool that you can sell a game based on your personality, but I was like, there was no chance in hell I would have had the ability to do that. I need to have a publisher between me and the fan because all I can do is talk and make it worse on myself. It's like if you showed,
The more you say, the more
yeah,
chances
the
of.
worse it's going to be. I can't talk myself into a cell. I can talk myself out of one pretty easily. There's something wrong with
It
this guy.
just it just reminds me of like when you were in the sales position, the sales
Mm,
job.
mm,
Didn't do so well.
no.
Anyway, yeah, it's kind of a weird one. Like I often think about what factors make a game move up in someone's like play, like must play this now kind of thing.
Mhm.
What are the factors? I don't know. Someone talking about it, someone talking
Yeah,
about it and
people.
going, "Oh, that game is amazing," and then they're going, "Oh, I've got to now move that up in my priority order of the 1,000 games I've got sitting in my shelves that I haven't played."
Right. And I think that's important because that also adds value to the game that other people like it.
Mm,
Like, this game, the best this game is ever going to be is when other people like it too. Like
yeah.
in a month from now, when no one's talking about it and I like the game, no one's going to want to engage with me about it. But if I want to talk about the game right now, I better play it now so that I can have conversation to talk to those people about.
This is the sucky thing, babe. And like
Mm,
we don't like hype and we don't want to get on the hype train, but this is the sucky thing because you and I we have that where we're hype averse, but it also it's like you said, you don't get to talk to people about the game. And if I can complain about something that I complain about continuously, it is the fact that
mm-hmm.
you and I bought Elden Ring kind of late, but we bought it together. And so we were in it together and we were
I'm never going to hear the end of this
we,
shit. Never going to hear the end of this shit about fucking Elden Ring.
all
I'm
right,
out.
let's
That's
move
it. I
on. Let's
fucking
move on.
quit. No, go ahead. Go ahead. Let's hear you. Let's hear. Chastise me for Elden Ring.
No, no. So it was good because we were both playing it and we were able to share that experience for a short time.
Very short time. There was a small window, and then the world moved forward and beat the game, or they're playing other stuff, or whatever
Yeah,
happened.
no one cares about it anymore.
Right,
And
and then that's therefore I don't care about it anymore, and you're still
right,
trucking along,
yeah,
exploring.
still exploring. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I like
So
to do. It's my favorite X, babe.
the Explore X.
Yeah,
I don't know. So when you buy a game based on the personality of the designer, have you
that's
ever done that?
never happened to me.
Really? That
Really?
it's
Why would
always,
who would that happen? No, it's
I
never
don't know.
happened to me. It's never happened to me. Only like a respect for the designer because of their designs, but not
Not just based on
personality
their
wise.
personality. It's like, you're
No.
such a nice person, I'm going to buy your, or how about I know you, so I'm going to buy your game
No. There's
to
even
be
a game
nice.
that I play tested that I didn't buy because I was like, yeah, I
I
didn't.
helped build it, but I didn't like it, or not my style of game, or
Let's just say that the game at the start was a bit more my taste, and then it kind of went in a direction, and I didn't like it that much anymore. So yeah,
mm.
I didn't
But are
drop
you
my
100%
dollars
that it
on it.
ended in a place that you didn't really dig? Like, should you play a finished
I think
product to
so.
see?
I've played it. There's nothing like it's not the worst game ever. Definitely by far, it's not the worst game. It's not bad, but I preferred it earlier,
So,
and
so are
I
you
feel
saying
terrible. This is really bad. I feel
no,
terrible
no? But
saying
are
it.
you saying that because you betrayed my trust in your design that I liked it before, and you changed it to a direction I don't like it, I can't accept what it is now, and I dislike it for because of what it could have been? That's what it sounds like.
Kind of,
Mm.
maybe, kind of. I don't
That's
know.
a
Like, I don't look. I'm also in the position where I don't want to just have a lot of games. So I have to be
yeah.
careful about what I buy. I don't have that much space, literally, don't
Mm,
have that much space here. So I can't
right.
just go and buy it because, like, if I'm not going to play it, if I don't think I'm going to play it much, I'm not going to buy a game, period.
Yeah,
So
but
that's the
like,
real reason I didn't buy it. I would still have bought it if I was like made of cash and like I had heaps of room, then I would buy it just because I was involved in the project and that's really cool. And I loved being involved in the project. It was a lot of fun being involved in the project. I just
mm.
don't think the end product is something that I'm hugely excited about playing. And then it's like, well, why would I buy it then?
So now, are you going to say that since you put that out there, are you going to say that now your purchases are based strictly on how many times you're going to play it? Because I don't think that's true. I think it's, oh, that game looks cool, I want to buy it.
I feel
Hopefully, I'll
like
get
this
to
is
play.
becoming an attack, and I would
It's
like
not
to
an
move
attack.
on.
It's not an attack.
Oh
I get
no!
that this used to be a thing with me and Lyndon that we'd have a discussion about all the time. Is that he would get upset about what things could have been, and I'm like, but that
Yeah,
that world doesn't exist to us. We live in the
yeah,
world of what it is.
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah,
it's hard. In this almost touches on my problem with Haspel Connect
yeah,
versus Castles of Burgundy. Their Castles of Burgundy is a little bit lighter, and people who have played Hospital Connect are not comparing it to Castles of Burgundy or games in that hour-long Euro space that are light. They're comparing it to Thomas Spitzer's other game, Colon Colony, which is much
yeah,
heavier,
yeah,
and so it's an unfair comparison
yeah,
to me. You're comparing his design to his design, where you should compare to this design into the to where it exists in the hour-long space. Like, if you asked me in an hour long, what would you play, Castles of Burgundy or Haspel Connect? I'll play Haspel Connect any day, without a doubt,
yeah.
no problem.
Which is a weird, like it's weird in a way because why would you as a designer like
Mm-hmm.
put out two games in the same like whole trilogy thing, right? I
And
assumed
put
that
them
he
for the
meant
same
to
weight.
make it as a trilogy. Yeah, put them the same weight and the same time frame and the same. You kind of want to maybe
Yeah, different. Explore
potentially hit
different
a
things.
different,
Yeah.
yeah, explore different things, get a different market, maybe even, I
Yes.
don't know.
So it's sort of related in you're comparing a game that what it could have been versus what it could be or what it is, or is that
I don't
unfair?
think I'm doing that so much. I think you're saying that. I think
That's what I'm
it's
asking.
more
Is it
like what I
unfair?
said. I don't think that I am doing that. But when I think about it and think about like the journey that it took on,
Mm-hmm. There's some regrets.
it's not personal regret. Like it's got nothing to do with me. Like I just,
Joking.
you know,
I am joking. You know I'm joking, right?
yeah, I know,
I'm
but
going for the
it's
laugh.
it's not.
It's not your
It's just a
journey anyway.
shame. It's just a
Yeah.
shame. That's all it is. I'm not losing sleep over it,
Mm.
but it is a shame that it turned out that
The
way.
sad thing is, whenever you're going to do that to me, you're like, I like your design, but it was so much better before you fucked with it.
Well, I mean, with you, like that's happened a couple of times, and I have like trusted that you're gonna like figure it out, and
You'll
then you do,
fix
so
it.
it's fine. It comes good. It comes good.
All right. So I'm going to bring up, let me see. I
What are
probably
you gonna bring up?
have.
Because like the
Uh, t-
tequila game when we played it the other day, for
mhm.
example, I was like, oh no, you got rid of this thing, and then as I was playing it, I was like, oh no, it has the same vibe, and it's not. You've just streamlined it, and it was totally fine.
That's
You
good.
haven't you haven't ruined one of your games
Haven't
yet.
ruined it yet.
Yet.
Let's see. I had something. Uh, was gonna ask you about Frosthaven. That's on here.
You were gonna ask. You were talking about. We were talking about like Courtney Love this morning. You
What?
said something. We were talking about Courtney Love,
Oh yeah,
and
yeah,
you were
yeah.
because I was saying that I did really like her and the lyrics and things like that. And you know what? It was like I was thinking about a bit more about it. It was the fact that I didn't have um because I really pay attention to lyrics, and especially like when I was
Mm-hmm.
growing up, I was bullied a lot, and I guess I really connected over stuff like that. Like I was obsessed with Korn because
Mm-hmm.
of like his, he had
His thing,
like the
yeah.
themes were always personal, and
Mm-hmm.
they were always like about being bullied or whatever. And that's cool, and you can have the same experience like as a whatever gender you are, you can have a bullying experience and you can connect or like relate to something like that. But if you don't, sometimes just having like um, the person of the gender that you identify with talking about it, the perspective feels more aligned with your perspective. Sometimes
Mm.
not. Sometimes it's more like someone of a different gender can actually sound like they're more in line with the way you felt about things as well. But often it's the person of the same gender. So it was like a female experience that I was looking for in an artist, because there wasn't actually a whole lot of in the sort of in that grungy space, there wasn't a huge amount of female
Or at least
singers
stuff
that
you
were
had,
really popular that I listened to anyway.
right? Stuff that you had access to,
Stuff that I had access to that I was like able to relate to,
right?
or like that I thought her lyrics were, you know, and I guess moved me a little bit or whatever.
Mm.
I don't know. I listened to Tori Amos back then too, but literally some of the stuff I was like, I don't understand what this. I don't know what she's talking about. I wish I did. It sounds good. I don't know what she's talking about. I was
I
pretty young.
admired Courtney Love for maybe the ambition and drive that I saw in who she wanted to like becoming Courtney Love. Kind of like
Yeah.
she pretty much made herself.
Mm.
And she became a movie star. She did all these things
Was she a movie
completely.
star as well?
She's
Was
done
she?
well. She's been in. Okay, so back then, before Hole, she was in a movie as a supporting female character. This was back when, like, I don't know if she even had aspirations to become a musician at the time. And then she was in Hole, and she was around the scene, and then later on she now I would think she's a movie star. She was in People versus Larry Flint. I don't know if she was
Yeah.
in anything else. I'd
She
have
was
to look at.
played herself in that though, didn't she? She played herself in that movie.
No, she played that character that was into
Oh.
Larry Flint,
Oh, I
sort
can't
of
remember.
like
Maybe
her.
I'm thinking about something else then.
Yeah. So
Okay.
I admire that, and I think she positioned herself with. I don't know how much of a connection she had and in love with Kurt Cobain and all that. I don't know that story, but it
Mm,
seems like she positioned herself to be in a really good spot either way. Maybe it
right.
was just happenstance. Maybe
And you
she's that ambitious, but it's really cool.
and you admire that. Like you admire people's ambition and drive and stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah, definitely,
Yeah.
definitely.
I don't know what you
I
see in me
never.
then. I'm not even driven to like get up and that's not true. I have to get my coffee, so I have to get up and do that. I'm driven to get coffee.
Yeah, see, I don't know if the thing with her. I see. I don't know the feminine side, like the feminist side. I mean, I
Mm,
don't know that struggle. I just know of her ambition and trying to become famous.
yeah.
And I guess since I didn't grow up around anyone who really admired her
Yeah.
in what she stood for, so I didn't know any of that stuff, like that she
Okay.
stood for, like bullying or not bullying. I
No,
mean,
we're
and
not bullying. That was that wasn't that. It's just like she does have a lot of songs that are about the female experience and having to make yourself look small and being quiet and you know.
and how does that go? Like, what was your experience with Hole and her, like when she would get groped on purpose, kind of a thing, like I don't know if you can get groped on purpose, but like it was kind of part of her thing, was like, grab me, you can grab me or whatever. And then there was that weird, like I'll go topless,
Yeah.
kind of thing. Is she trying to take back sexuality? What I don't know what the message was. I was too old school to understand it at the time, and as a kid,
Yeah. I think it was,
it's okay for
oh
dudes to do it, so
man.
why don't women do it? I don't know.
I think there's a bunch of like different stuff. Like she was a bit of a oh, not contrarian. I can't think of the word that I'm trying to think of. Damn it! I wish I'd got more
She
sleep last
definitely
night.
was a rebel.
Um, she was a bit of a rebel, yeah. But I think that she, in doing that, I think that she was more making a statement about men. Like
Mm,
by allowing them to do it, it's like, well, look at what they'll do if you know what I mean?
yeah,
I don't know. It could be like,
it
yeah,
could be many things. Yeah,
it could be
it's.
many
I'm
things.
not trying to put you in the spot to like speak for her or
No,
whatever. It's just like
no, it's
your
cool.
interpretation of like, I never knew how to take it, you
Yeah.
know, because like here you have someone who's I guess people look up to, and maybe she has a the feminist voice, but is it contrary to that, or is it alongside that? Am I too narrow minded, not seeing that they're like it's the same voice, or
Mm.
you know, it definitely back then it was hard to see the parallels between fighting for rights, but then at the same time being okay with being like a sex object at the same time, or was the statement
Yeah, but
that
I think
it's
that
not
was
okay?
the point too. Like it's like you can be a slut. Like why not? If what's wrong with doing this? Like
Mm-hmm.
what's wrong with doing that? And that shouldn't have people shouldn't think differently of me because of that. And dudes do that too. And
Yeah, I'm definitely pro
uh
slut all the time, 24/7.
very slut all the time. And uh yeah, I think it was all of those things, but I'm trying to think, like it's really hard to think back what it was when I was a
Yeah,
teenager. But
and
I think I probably it was a big thing actually because I was called a slut like every day by the guys, and I'm like, how can I be a slut? That doesn't make any sense. But
right.
it's just like a common thing of like
Mm-hmm.
people, especially men, judging women on what they do with their bodies. And so I think it was just a big fuck you, to be honest. I really do. I
Probably.
think mainly it was just a big fuck you to everybody. Like, who
Yeah,
cares?
and I
I'll
know
do what I want. I'll
that
do
I
what I
put you on.
want.
I just put you on the spot and just kind of like asking you to talk about something that we really don't know a whole lot about. But it's
Yeah,
just
because I'm
conversation.
terrible with knowing celebrities. Like I've never watched an interview with her or anything like that. Like I'm just talking from the vibe of like how I interpreted
Hmm.
her actions and her persona,
Well, that's more the
and her
important thing
lyrics.
is how you perceived her and how you
Yeah,
perceive her
yeah.
now and then, and what if you got anything from that aspect, or you just totally ignored that aspect, or whatever.
I definitely didn't ignore it. I was for it. I liked it. I was drawn to it.
Hmm.
I was like, she's cool. I like her, you know?
There was something definitely cool about her rebelliousness, without a doubt.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was very, very punk, very in your face, and but authentic at the same time. And that's the cool thing, is that it seemed authentic. I'm not saying it was or wasn't, but it definitely came from a place that was made to look authentic.
I know definitely at the time when I was like, because this is, high school, probably 14, 15, 16 years old, like when I was really listening to her. And there seemed to be like so many rules. Like if you were female, there were just so many rules. Like you can't, look too interested in a boy, or you can't
Mm-hmm.
be frigid, so you can't be the other way. There's just so many rules. Like thinking of your like the way you flick your hair, or the short, like the length of your skirt, and and you can't be like, you have to be beautiful all the time, and you have to be skinny. And it's just like it was. I just remember thinking it was overwhelming. Like
Mm.
I hope that women don't have it quite like that these days. I don't know that they do or not, but
Yeah,
it
I
seems like
wonder.
everyone owns your sexuality. Everyone wants, well, or maybe like, yeah, it feels like they own it because they want to weigh in on everything. They want to weigh
Mm.
in on everything, and how you should be, and how you should act, and what you should say, and what you should wear, and ugh, exhausting.
Yeah,
And it affects me now. I'm sure it still affects me in some ways. Like, you know, I like to think that I've become my own person and I make all of these decisions, but how much influence that happens when you're younger. affects you
Right.
in
Right.
adulthood. It continues. So
Yeah, that's
without you even
interesting.
thinking about it.
It's pretty interesting stuff.
I feel like I've given her a lot of credit for all this stuff, but you know, she was one of the like few. There really doesn't seem to be that many female voices that I can remember back then that were actually wanting to say something or make a statement.
There definitely wasn't very many punkish voices that were as tough seeming. You know, because you know
Yeah.
you had your like what Fiona Apple at the time that was trying to be sexy. You
Yeah.
had, but like
Was
in a
she trying to
grungy
be
way.
sexy?
Well, I don't. I assume so from the video, the original black and white video that everybody talked about at the time.
I didn't see. I can't remember. I know that
Mm.
she was a little bit weird for me at the time. I don't think I knew
Mm.
what she was talking about either. My brother was
Mm.
into her,
Mm.
but probably because she was sexy. Those reasons. Not what she was saying.
Oh
It's
well.
really funny. I remember he had a huge crush on Fiona Apple and he had a huge crush on Scully.
Oh really? The
What's her
nerd,
name? Yeah.
the famous nerd crush.
Famous nerd crush.
Yeah,
So
the ex.
standard. So
Yeah,
boring.
so. And then she was like into metal and stuff or something like that. She was like married to a
She?
dude that was into metal, yeah, and she was a metal chick. That was, I thought that was cool. I
Oh.
was never into her, but
Right.
I thought that part was cool that she was actually in the metal. So,
Right. Okay.
and not just like regular metal. She was into the heavier stuff.
Mhm.
I don't know like full on death metal, but she was like into heavy metal at the time. Not
That's
like
cool.
the uh what is it? The California, Los Angeles eye makeup metal,
I
like Motley
make up
Crue and
metal.
shit. Like
Oh
Motley
yeah,
Crue, like
yeah.
glam metal and shit.
Never into that. I was never into that.
Well, that's from a time before you. That was back in the dinosaur age, closer to the time of the pilgrims in
I guess so.
modern day.
But it's
Well,
you can like music that's from before your time. Come on, everyone
true, but
likes
to
some
understand
stuff.
it, yeah, that's a whole different story.
Yeah.
It's a whole different story. But anyway, we're at an hour. Is there anything you want to talk about right at the end, or what do you think?
No, I'm okay.
All
I'm
right,
good to leave it there.
cool. I guess
That
we'll
was
call it
fun.
there. Yeah, it was fun. Interesting Courtney Love stuff. This is the Courtney Love episode. All right, let me figure
All
out how
right.
to turn this damn thing off. How do you turn this damn thing off?
The button. The button.